Yeah. Hopping in. How's it? Thanks for tuning in to the Guam Basher YouTube channel with none other than the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Matt Cat.
Hello. Thank you for
Woo!
having me. This is a lot of fun. It's more fun for me because I think this is the greatest distance between two people for a live stream that I've ever done. So this is pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's very, very cool. And once
Yeah.
again, thank you very much for coming on. It's a dream. You don't understand the inspiration that you put into the community.
Uh,
You're the dude, man. You're the guy.
Thank you so much.
You're the
It really
guy.
means a lot to hear that. I mean, I'm just kind of doing what I do and sharing it with everybody. And I think that I hope that that's sort of what resonates with people is that, this is about sharing this hobby and inspiring and learning from each other and kind of pushing this hobby forward. And the more people we can get involved, the more companies are going to recognize that and make this even bigger for everybody.
Hell yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I was gonna do the whole haircut. Normally, I got my comb over game on too, but yeah, I didn't have some time last night to get it
No,
to get it
that's
done.
okay. I was at work until about 15 minutes ago.
Oh shit.
So
Okay. Okay.
this is my work look.
Oh damn. Nice, man. Yeah, but well, anyways, once again, thank you very much for coming on. Love the videos. Yeah, and kind of the first thing that we had with some people on, it's just some announcements from the Guam Basher side. We're running a scale garage competition. The garage competition is just a photo competition with the best scale picture. As you can see, I'm working on mine.
Oh
Smaller
yeah, nice.
competitions like that. Um, yeah, to post that on Instagram. So any love and support that you can show on that would be really awesome. I know you understand you're very busy, but yes, so that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So scale garage competition. Sorry, just for the audience. Final submission for that picture is going to be next week on Friday, and then the competition will have on Instagram and back and forth on elimination rounds. And whoever has the scale picture, the best scale picture that is most voted upon, will win the prizes of 3D printing stuff from
Oh,
Mr.
sick.
Gordy 3D Prints, which is little palettes and scale accessories and coolers and all that good stuff that he has. But yes, don't forget to submit that, guys, on the
Well,
Friday next week. Friday, I believe it's the 27th, for that competition.
let's
So
sweeten
yeah.
the pot a little bit.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
sweeten the pot. I'll throw in a set of our latest sticker sheets, and I'll 3D print one of me and make sure whoever wins the competition gets that too.
Woo! You're the man. You are the man.
All
You're the
right.
man, my dude. You're the man.
Cool.
Thank you very much for the support on that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my
Matt,
pleasure.
you have to come to Guam. I don't know if you can see the comments,
I
but I'm reading
can.
the comments. Okay, you have to come to Guam.
Yeah.
Disappear.
I'd love to come to Guam. How so I'm not super well versed in Guam, but I did do a little Wikipedia search, and your population is very small. It's a small island, isn't it?
It's about 37, 38 miles long. Yeah, 37, 38 miles long. I think it's 15 to 17 miles wide at its widest point or whatever. But yeah, it's a small little dot in the ocean, man.
That's
Small little
amazing.
dot in the ocean.
And the history of it is pretty unique and interesting too. It was always sort of like I guess it's a waypoint for the United States Navy to
Yes.
be like sort of like a first respond to sort of like any threats from the Pacific, right? Is
Yep.
that
Still
basically
still
it?
serves still serves as the same purpose. Yes, it does.
Oh wow. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yes, there's
Very
a
cool.
huge military presence here on Guam. The Navy is very big. I actually work for the Navy for base communications, and so yes, here on Guam we try our best to get all the federal jobs that we can. So
Yeah.
they got the
Yeah.
cash, they got the moolah. So yes, still very big, beautiful place to be.
I
Supposed
can
to be
just
where,
imagine. Yeah. It
yeah,
looks very lush, very tropical.
yes, very hot
Yeah.
too, humid
Uh,
hot. So it's fun, man.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Yeah,
I can deal with humidity. I'm not like
yeah.
I love dry heat, but here in Toronto in the summer, it's not nearly the same, I'm sure, as what you get, but it's soupy. It's very like it's the air is thick.
Okay. Yeah, we call that sumnak here on Guam, where it's kind of heavy. It feels heavy and
Yeah.
just you're
Yeah, yeah,
sweating your
yeah.
balls off. You know what I mean? You're kind of doing the whole thing. you're killing yourself on it. But yes, yes, that's called subnac here on Guam.
Great. I'll come when it's not like that.
Shit, shit. Yeah, here on Guam, we only got 2 seasons, man. We got hot or rainy. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
It's hot or rainy. There's no snow. There's no chance of a snow. Nothing. It's not
I can deal
happening.
with that. I can deal
Yeah.
with that.
Solid. So yeah, man. Maybe hopefully next time your next vacation would be here in Guam. But man, that's hopes and dreams, man. Hopes and dreams. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So at least the first thing that I have, Mr. Matt, is just an introduction on you. You know,
Sure.
when I put out that I'll be live with you on Scale Builders Guild, there was two extremes that were happening, man. There was the one where it's like, holy shit, Rick, you got Scale Builders Guild to come on the show and all this stuff. And then the other one was, man, I'm kind of younger at RC. I don't really know who's, I don't really YouTube Scale Builders Guild that much. And I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. Get off. You know what I mean? Get off. You don't know who's Scale Builder, you know what I mean, Matt? So, yeah, an introduction to those who don't know
Sure.
you
Okay.
would be great, man.
Yeah. Well, my name's Matt, Matt Cat, and I run it started as just a web forum called the Scale Builders Guild, which I took over, man, about 10 years ago, I want to say. Previous owners just got kind of tired with it, and they're like, "Do you want to take this over?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love a challenge." So that was right when Facebook was kind of ramping up and becoming a lot more popular with,
Cool.
like Scale RC groups and everything. And web forums are definitely not the number one way to communicate, it seems, anymore. But the great thing about them is the threaded view. So you can go through, it's like a history book of seeing how a build started, how it's going, and how it got completed. And you kind of can go through and see what people did and pick up some tips and tricks that way. And it's a nice way to sort of build a community. So that was always the goal, was let's get all the Scale RC guys in one place so we can have like really good discussions, share our knowledge, and kind of push this hobby forward. And that's where it started for me. I've been in the hobby, um, you know, since I was a kid, right? My grandpa used to get me RC cars, the ones that had like the non adjustable steering that had like the little plastic thing on the bottom, and you're like, cool, I can go left. I can just go left, but that's great. And then, I took a kind of a break from that and got into model trains for a while as a teen. And then, school kind of took over, and uh, the job kind of got more important than
Wow.
having a hobby.
Yeah.
And then as I got into my late 20s, I really kind of said to myself, I need to have a tangible hobby, like something where I can pick something up and build and construct and be creative. Because I'm a film editor by day. I work in advertising primarily. So I'm doing
Solid.
commercials, I'm editing. Um, it's fun, it's creative, and it's problem solving, but it's all on the computer.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of tangibility to it anymore. Yeah, exactly. In the old days when it was on film, you were cutting film and splicing things together, and
Yeah.
they haven't done that for like 40 years. But um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I needed something as an outlet. I think that's probably the best way to put it. And hobbies are a great way to keep the powder dry, keep you on track, get all the kind of the stress out of the day, and you just sit down and you focus on something else, and it's a great way to melt the hours away. So I was like, I love RC cars, I love RC trucks. Maybe there's something along those lines. And then I
Yeah.
discovered the Scale Builders Guild forum and rccrawler.com and scale4x4.net when they were around. And I was like, this is for me. I absolutely have to get into this. And um, some of the stuff from model trains kind of carried over, but I just kind of built on basic skills and learned from other people and started to apply what I learned and just kind of kept going with it. And then I was like, this guy Headquake on YouTube. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of him, but
Whoa. First time.
very
Yeah.
old school dude. Built all of his trucks out of wood,
Holy
and
shit. No
yeah,
kidding.
like, and his
Yeah.
video work is what really caught my eye. I was like, this guy really knows how to film these trucks. He gets really super low and he gets the right angles, and it's a little bit slowed down. So you really see the movement of the truck going through the trails. And he had his own trail network in his backyard, and they were just so creative. I was like, you know what? I'm a film editor. I could probably shoot my own videos. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
my
can.
first videos were absolutely garbage. They're brutal. I go back and look at them to humble myself and to
Yeah.
remind myself of where I came from.
Sure.
But that sort of like really keyed into taking what I do every day and making sort of a hobby out of it. So I started to really kind of focus on filming the trucks and building videos, and from there, it kind of spiraled out of control. I started to get connects with some of the companies that were making these things, and they're like, "Would you want a truck to feature in your video?" And I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, that would be amazing."
Yeah.
So that's where that kind of started, and then the YouTube channel kind of took off, and I started to get in front of the camera, which was really challenging at first.
I agree.
I didn't have a very good setup, and I didn't have the right equipment, and it was all echoey, and you couldn't hear me very well. And I look back at those videos, and I'm embarrassed that I still have them up. But you have to remember where you came from, and your roots are important. But everything is a building block to where we are now. And I'm not like tooting my own horn or anything, but I think I have a fairly decently popular channel. But the thing
Oh
that
yeah.
has been uh, key and sort of like most important to me the whole way through is that I have to be myself. I can't be somebody else in the videos than I am who I am in real life.
Right.
So authenticity is so important to me, and being honest is important. But ultimately it's moving the hobby forward, showing off some techniques that might inspire others to try things, and constantly being one upped by the next person, seeing what they can do and the stuff that
Right.
they're building.
The
And
challenge, baby.
yeah, and,
Yeah.
and I just, that's who I am, and that's where I came from in a very long story.
Hell no, that was good, man. That was good. That was good. Awesome. Yeah, that's at least what inspires me the most is just spreading the love for RC, man. That's it.
Yeah,
That's the only thing, and it's a
yeah.
lot of money. At least you know what I mean. It's a lot of money. It's a shitload of money
Yeah, it
to
is.
fund these
That's
builds. So.
that's a that's a very good point. Is that this hobby is not cheap. There are ways that you can keep it cheap. Like Headquake for sure is the master of using one chassis and about 80 bodies.
Thinking, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You don't see a
yeah.
lot of like two or three trucks in his videos because he doesn't have that many chassis to work with. But uh, I think that it can be challenging, but I don't think the person with the most money is necessarily the one who wins. In this
True.
case, I think it's really about what you can do with what you have. And sometimes it's repurposing things. Like, don't throw away that vacuum formed clear box that the part came in.
Mhm.
You might be able to use that for something.
True.
Like, hang on to that stuff. I am a pack rat. I have so much junk in here that I'm like, one day that's going to come in really handy.
Oh shit, you're a hoarder too. I'm a
Oh
hoarder too.
man, yeah. Every few weeks I go, I got to clean up this mess, but then I don't.
Exactly. Yeah. I save 99.9% of my stuff. The only thing I kind of throw away is a price tag. Maybe. Nobody needs to see that. The wife doesn't need to see that. Nobody needs to see that. So
Yes,
throw the
exactly.
price tag away. Keep all the plastics and all the extras and all
Exactly. Or
that.
just do what I say. And whenever you bring home a new truck or a new part or something, you go, "Oh, no, 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 no. I've had that for 6 months, and when I got it, it was 50% off."
I ain't gonna lie. I used that a couple times. Used it a
Yeah.
couple times. Yeah. They
Yeah.
start to take notice.
Very common.
um, what's kind of how do you balance the RC life with the family life and vacation? How does it work? How do you function?
Well, on my last vacation, I went to Ireland with my wife 2.5 weeks ago. It was one of the best vacations I've had in my whole life. Um, because she's Irish, she's got ancestral homes there, like a castle that we were able to go
Wow.
see. And I was like, "This belonged to your ancestors. This is crazy." Um, but while we were there, before we left, she's like, "You got to bring a truck with you. Like, when are you going to get another opportunity to drive an RC truck in Ireland? You got to bring one." So I took my Defender TRX4M because it's small, fits in the suitcase fine. Um, but there is not a lot of balance. I think when you've got a YouTube channel and you have to maintain a regularity to your videos and a schedule, you know, you kind of always have to be making content. Uh, and Unfortunately, a lot of other things probably suffer. And of course, I'm sure you know this, work has to come first because that pays the bills and it pays for the hobby. So you got to make sure you're working. So it's sort of like for me, it's work, and then there's a tiny slice for family,
Oh.
and then a tiny slice for the dog, and then the rest is all hobby time.
Uh,
I have some friends, but luckily they're in RC as well. Like,
yeah,
pardon my noob, who I see his name has popped up a few times here,
yeah,
and K-pop RC, who's another Canadian guy. He lives not too far from where I am, so I hang out with him a fair bit. Um, but it's generally like most of my friends now, outside of like some really close friends, are all part of the RC community, and there is not a lot of balance. I have to be honest. It's like work a full 8 or 9 hour day, and then say hi to Rebecca, say hi to the dog, take the dog out for a walk, and then come right down here and start doing stuff.
my
That's
goodness.
basically it.
Yeah, that's.
So how do I handle it? I don't.
I ignored them. I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
I ignore balance. Balance is for the weak.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder to balance the work. I got the kids; they got to go to school. I mean, they got to do
Yeah.
all that other stuff. So as
Well,
much time
that's your
as I
first
can.
mistake. You had
Yeah,
kids. They're going to want to play with these one day, and I would not
yeah,
allow that.
amen, amen. Um, what what kind of keeps you going, man? What keeps you going, man? What keeps you going in the hobby? What keeps you going in the?
Oh man. Well, the great thing about this hobby is that there's always something new. There's always something new, either as in terms of like a product coming out. There's always something new in terms of a technique you can learn, painting technique, modeling technique. There's always tinkering that can be done. Like if you break something, you got to fix it. So there's always that to keep me going. But I think it's understanding that there's got to be a clear break between your personal life and your hobby life. So I try to always make enough time to do things outside of the hobby that want me to like that kind of force me to keep coming back.
Yeah,
Um, so while there isn't much balance, there's enough um, separation between this and what else the other things I do, that I want to keep working on this stuff. And having a schedule really helps stick to that too, right? Like I put out, we do the live stream on Wednesday nights. I've got what's on the bench that comes out usually every Thursday. And
yeah,
then between like product reviews or running videos or whatever, there's at least two other videos that I'm cutting every week. And having those things in the calendar, because I have a calendar where I have to like meticulously lay out what's
sure,
happening when and
sure.
when new releases are coming. It definitely keeps me on track. But there hasn't been, and a lot of people talk about burnout, and burnout is a real thing. It can happen.
Oh,
It doesn't happen to me very often because things are constantly changing in here. Like
okay.
you'll notice behind me on the top shelf, those are usually the work in progress trucks, and those are always rotating in and out. It's never the same three trucks up there one episode to the next usually. So
Yeah,
there's always something to work on, and I think that variety really helps me stay on track too. Like if it was just one build every month, I would probably lose my mind. Like
yeah,
it's great to be able to switch gears, and I've really taken a liking to doing a little bit of bashing here and there, and I know that that's probably where your whole kind of channel focused originally on.
hell yeah, hell yeah.
And like there is no shortage of amazing bashers out there that have honestly, like if you've had a bad day, there's nothing better than taking out something that's way overpowered and
Hey,
just pinning it. It's so great. It's so
hell yeah,
great.
hell yeah.
Like I like going slow and I like making cool videos about slow things, but every once in a while you got to rip it. So
Yeah.
that
Hell
that
yeah.
kind of helps keep me going too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
think, yeah, like a short answer, variety. I think that's the spice of life, as they say. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Here on Guam, we take our vanquishes. Well, yeah, yes. I started off as a bachelor, had a Traxxas Max, all that good stuff. Send
yep.
it off of the mountain, all this other good stuff. But here on Guam, we buy our vanquishes, or we buy our Axio SCX 10-2s or whatnot. We put a
Yeah.
38 or a 46 on it, and we kind of crawl when we need to crawl and do our thing, take our nice pictures, shoot our nice videos. But ultimately, yeah, the stuff maybe you don't see is that we're zapping the hell out of these lines, and we're trying to fly them off the mountain, and it's win or lose in the
Yes.
mountain. So
I love
yes,
it.
it's a very good experience. But yeah, that's how Guam Bashers came to be. It's kind of a
Oh,
blend of
that's
the two.
amazing.
Started off as the Basher side, but yeah, focusing a lot
There's
more on
there's
the
something
culture.
really cathartic about it, you know? Like you're going fast, you're breaking stuff,
Yeah.
you're doing big jumps, you're just kicking up dirt, and it feels good. Like it feels good to get that out of your system.
Yes, and it's a good relaxer. It's a really good
Yeah,
relaxer. On top of working on the rig, just showing what you've done for the week. Hey boys, check it out. This is what I did. This is what I put
exactly.
on. You know what I mean? And then you get to the
Yeah.
mountain and you just break the hell out of it. Is what you do. You send it
Yeah,
and
for
you take the
sure.
hell out of it.
There
Yep. Yep.
and there's something about, the community too, and that's something that I think is worth kind of touching on, is that without the community, this can be a very lonely hobby. So getting out there and interacting with people and meeting new people gives you a great opportunity to connect, make new friends, learn new things, and you know bring a little more joy to the
Yeah.
hobby. It's
Yeah.
fun by yourself for sure, but it's always better with a friend.
Hell yeah. Hey, that 18-kilometer hike trail session
Oh
that you
yeah,
did,
yeah.
jeez, that was nuts, dude.
I was
That
very lonely. I was like,
Hey,
man, I wish I had somebody doing this with me, but nobody would.
it was kind of, yeah. I was looking at you and you're kind of doing this look around number thing, and I was like, oh shit,
Yeah,
Sasquatch about to pop out anytime
yeah,
soon. You know what I mean? Solid, solid.
yeah.
Okay, so let's get down to the nitty gritty on some scale stuff.
Sure.
First thing I got is kind of, if you had one and only chance to choose a preferred platform to kind of build a scale rig off of, what would that be? Let's go ahead and start with
Yeah,
that one.
that's a really difficult question. And I thought about this answer for a long time when I saw that in the notes, and I was like, I it's so weird, but I don't think I have a preferred platform because each build is so unique, right? Like, and whether it's sort of like a kit that you're building or you're going to go full custom and do something wild on it, it's dictated by what you want to build more than it is I like this chassis the most.
Yeah.
That said, if I had to pick one right now, it would probably be the VS410. Uh, just because they've laid it out so well. Like they made everything so low. So if you want to do a full or half or three quarters interior, you can do any one of those. It used to be, for the longest time, it was TF2, like all day long, every day. Like this is just, it's so easy to build on.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's a no brainer, especially if you're doing like a leaf sprung build. But the Phoenix, just that chassis kit has so much potential and so many different options for a layout. You can change the wheelbase super easy. Like you can cut that chassis, relocate the steering servo, and still have a completely usable build. As an example, because I've
Yeah.
got no shortage of examples for you today. Um,
Yeah.
this truck right here,
Yes. Yeah.
this is a VS410,
Yes, it
but
is.
you'll notice it's still like a 12.3 wheelbase, but that body is short. Like it is a short little body. This was
Yeah.
done by Westmade,
Yeah.
and it's all styrene and vacuum form styrene. It's a gorgeous build. But the kicker for me was I was like, I got to make it look just like the original. The original was called the LS Mail, not LS
Okay.
Post, and
Hmm.
it had like a US Mail livery on it. It's pretty sick. You can Google it. It
Yeah. Yeah.
basically looks like this. It's just blue.
Yeah.
Um, but what I loved about using the VS410 for this was, transmission's nice and low. So you can
Mhm.
do a full interior, and that's flat to the floor.
Oh yeah.
Got a full driver in it. So, like, I mean, like legs, toes, feet, everything. Um, and all I had to do was relocate the front servo back a little bit further, chop the frame, both front and rear. So there's no frame hiding underneath there. And it works perfectly. And this is such a versatile truck. It works so well
Oh yeah.
that it's just amazing.
That's my favorite one. Not gonna
Yeah.
lie, that is my
Yeah.
favorite one, and I'm glad you brought it out. Everybody, take my picture. Please, cheese. That is my favorite one. That is my
I'm glad
favorite
you
one of
like
all
that
time.
one. Yeah, I wish I could take credit for the body. All I did was plop it on this chassis. So
Yeah, solid,
it's
solid.
it's still a custom scratch build, but
Yeah,
it's great. And what is great about it is that because those wheels are pushed so far out,
yeah.
this thing, like, I've rolled it once, maybe twice. It's such a great performer too. But
I got something very similar. Pushed out on the rear side too. Yeah,
hey, see,
that's the rear
exactly. There
side
you
too.
go. Another Jeep. That's a
Yeah,
great looking Wrangler.
thank you, thank you. Yeah,
That is the Tamiya body, right?
yes it is. Yeah, yes,
Yeah. That's sick, man. I love it. And
thank
it's
you.
exactly the same thing. Push those
Same
wheels
one.
out as far as you can to the corners, and you're going to have a great performing truck.
Exactly, exactly. Awesome.
But yeah, VS410 is super versatile. I like the Element chassis. I wish it didn't have such a center mounted huge transmission. I mean, it's gotten better since they came up with the SE, like the new
Okay.
version of the Sendero, which is this FJ Cruiser build that I'm doing. So this one, nobody likes the FJ Cruiser except me and like two other guys. So, but this is just, again, it's just a shortened Element Enduro SE. But like, there it is, right? It's just a really super short wheelbase one, and it all just works just fine because everything's mounted up front and nice and low. Like, you don't lose anything at all. Everything is exactly the same. It's just shorter.
Yeah. Element's been killing it. I think there's a bunch of guys running Element Ectos and Gatekeepers, Night Runners, or so and so.
Yeah.
But Element's been killing it. They're doing good. They're doing really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of really interesting options for that truck out there. And I think the aftermarket is starting to take notice and that you're starting to see more parts for it. I think that was always the thing, is that they kind of had to stay stock for a long time because there just wasn't anything out there. But now you've got like Artful Dodgers, and there's a few other companies over in Europe that are doing some really cool things with those chassis. So yeah, yeah.
yeah. I'm
I
waiting
mean,
for my Artful Dodger supply to come in. I got myself a servo mount and some other stuff. But
excellent,
yeah,
excellent.
heard they're the
Yeah,
shit. I
nice.
really did.
Yeah,
Really heard the shit.
and yeah, I think bottom line, it's just like whatever truck you're making, there's going to be a chassis that's going to work best for you and your budget too, right? Like, that's the other thing, is that there are so many options now. I think we're seeing a time in the hobby where we are spoiled for choice. There are so many options from so many different manufacturers, and then that's not even counting all of like the knockoff versions that we're starting to see come in from overseas. Like,
Yeah,
there are just so many choices, and it's like, do you want Lexan? Do you want a hard body? Do you want independent front suspension? Do you want solid front axle? Do you want leaf springs? And then, do you want a comp chassis? So do you want to take that kind of route? It's just, there are endless possibilities. And I think that's what's great about this, is that it really lets you be an individual.
yeah, yeah. We need an old school Toyota Stout. I completely agree. One of the
Yeah,
best
stout would be
trucks
cool.
to ever
Hmm.
hit the market was a Toyota Stout, man.
Charisma has, I don't think it's licensed. They call it the Coyote, but it basically is a stout.
Oh shit. Okay, I'll look into that.
Yeah, check that one out.
I run the Charisma Tacoma. I think it's beautiful. Comes with all the light buckets and stuff like that. But
Yeah, they did a good job on that body, except the way they mounted it on their chassis. But
yeah. Solid. So you would agree that your kind of favorite platform is the VS410 builder's kit portion there. How
yeah,
about for beginners? You think that's a good way to start for beginners, or
yeah, I do. It's a like the RTRs that they're doing, the Phoenix or the Fordyce. Those things are amazing performers straight out of the box. Really, really well built, good quality electronics, excellent part support. Um, and yeah, like I said, it's a good performer and it's a great platform to get started. If you decide that you don't want to keep that body anymore, the world is your oyster. There are so many
Yeah.
12.3-inch wheelbase choices that there's literally no end to what you could put on it.
Yeah, I think that's the number one seller here on Guam is that BS410 straights. The Porter one had a little bit of a hiccup here on Guam. It wasn't doing the best. It was kind of, you know what I mean? Everybody's trying
Yeah,
to get off of portals because we're trying to zap and zap and zap and scale and do stuff. And
I
then,
don't like portals anyway,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. And
that's good
then
to
when
know.
the F10Ts came out, geez, oh my
Oh
God,
yeah, yeah.
those are
People probably
awesome.
went nuts for those. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then we got
It,
the
what was my? Oh, I was going to ask you a question about. Do you have to like because it's like a territory? Do you have to pay like import or duty on stuff, or is it all just like in U.S. dollars?
Oh, you're saying like tax for shipping? Is that what you're like that?
Yeah,
Or?
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. That's the number one thing that kills us out here, at least for the guys that order online, is that the part, for example, the Charisma Tacoma will be $48. I think I just checked it yesterday. It's $48 or whatever like that. To get
Yeah.
it here to Guam sits at like $20 to $30 just to get it here. So it's kind of
Okay.
you're
That's
at
not that far off from what I have to pay for
yeah,
shipping and
yeah.
duties. So
Yeah, so it's about
you're
20 to
basically
30 bucks.
Canadian.
Yeah. Yeah. It's solid. So yeah, it's really good. But we do have a variety of options at our local hobby shop. Mr. Burt Chronics brings in a bunch of stuff for us
Oh, that's good.
to play with and stuff, and in all different price ranges too. He brings the heavy hitter Vanquish stuff, and then
Sure.
he does the cheaper Injora or Chanquish or knockoff rings and stuff like that. So
Right on.
yeah, and man, like I said, it's for everybody's budget, and it's not about what you can buy into it. It's about what you can do with what you have, you know. So sometimes we only got $30, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Sometimes we only got
exactly. And I'm right there with you. It's sort of like the thing I used to say to everybody was the best truck is the one that does what you want it to, gives you the possibilities that you want it to, and meets the budget that you can afford.
Amen.
That's the best truck.
Oh yeah, I completely
But
agree.
also the Vanquish VS410.
Yeah. Nothing like a Vanquish. I used to drive a lot of Axials, and I had an Elements Enduro. And you know what? I don't know why, but the Vanquish brings a lot more comfort. I don't know why. The metal axle, just the drivetrain, the feel. It
Yeah.
brings more comfort. It brings more comfort to zap it or to send it or whatever.
The thing about that company is that it's built on the backs of people who are true enthusiasts. You know, they are in this hobby 24/7, and um, some of them came from Axial back in the day, but all of them are they're out there driving RC trucks
Yeah.
every day. You know, that's what their hobby is, and now it's their business. So
Hell yeah. Rick, who turned you on to the BS410? My partner Jordan, who's actually the vice president of the Guam Bashers, he drives nothing but Vanquish, and he's got the budget for it. And he's actually the one that built my Tacoma Vanquish at the time. So yeah, we worked out a sweet deal. He put together the kit, threw the axles, did everything on it, and I kind of just said I wanted to try a Vanquish, and so I fell in love with it. There's nothing better than driving a Vanquish, in my opinion. It is the perfect truck for me. It's just the fact that it's a little bit more costly. I'm very glad that Vanquish came out with the ready to run kits that sit at that 400 mark, right? 450, 400 mark that come out at least here on Guam. But yes,
yeah,
and then on top of that, all of these guys like Mr. Keith and Mr. Chris and JD, all of our local guys are driving Vanquish and they're just killing it, man. So
oh,
yeah,
that's great.
that's who kind of turned me on to the Vanquish scene. Who turned you on to zapping? You're so sick, Keith. Keith, you turned me on to zapping and sending it as well. I used to drive a TRX4 with a Terra Pro X in the mountain. I came from bashing, and that's sending it on a. I was the only one. Traxxas Max trying to jump shit and flip it and break it and stuff. And I'll just look at these guys in the mountain, and they're just, I'm like, dude, that sucks, or that's slow. That sucks, bro. Who the hell wants to go slow? You know what I mean?
Hey,
But
I was the exact opposite. I mean, look at all those idiots going fast
yeah,
and breaking stuff.
hell yeah. So yeah, I kind of just walked up one day, got a little bit of a feel for it, checked out a couple of the guys that were doing it, and within the next week, I bought my first used TRX4 $250 rig, right? I'm in the mountain, traveling, doing my thing, and I burnt the motor. I blew it up in
Yeah,
the mountain. It was super embarrassing. Did the whole thing, kind of walked off, walked of shame back to the truck and the whole thing. But yeah, from there, the crawling side came with it, and it's beautiful now, and it's
yeah,
so precise. It's so precise. It takes your mind off of work and stress and stuff that you don't want to be into at the moment, and so it's beautiful. It's
it's
really good.
great. It's a great
Yeah, hell
hobby.
yeah,
Absolutely.
hell yeah. Oh,
Somebody wanted to see a
oh,
Land Cruiser LC80. I unfortunately don't have that truck anymore. I sold that a while back. The Jelly Bean, the single cab, pinched and narrowed
yeah.
uh, 80 series. Yeah, I sold that to a good friend of mine, who I think he put it up on the block for sale again. Or
Oh,
actually, no, he sold the other truck he bought from me, um, which was an older Vanquish truck, but equally well loved.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
That jelly bean. I was watching a little bit of the running footage, and it's crazy how it articulates with such a heavy ass body. Dude, that body's heavy. I had an
yeah,
LC80 from it. It's freaking
yeah.
heavy, and
I
the
cut a
fact that
lot out of it, but it
yeah,
was still a very heavy body.
oh yeah.
That was
One of
back.
the
That was back when I didn't really understand
yeah,
comps. Like,
yeah,
pardon my noob, and I would go to comps, and we'd have like these beautiful bodies and win all the awards for, like, best paint, best interior, best metal work, best body, you
yeah.
know, best of show, and then we'd be like dead last in the comps because it's just that they weren't. Be like, one year, I don't know. Can you see? You can see this Range Rover over
Yes,
here.
yes, I can.
This truck here was my class 2 build for a comp. And this is a resin body. It's not like styrene or anything.
Okay,
It was rotocast out of an original styrene buck. And basically, like, a rotocast is like a big box that you
okay,
spin in 3 dimensions, and the resin kind of fills all the cavities, and then you
yeah, okay,
let the
okay.
resin cure and it pours out. Anyway, it's like 15 pounds. It's like, it's not a comp truck at all in any way. But I was like, I am determined. I'm driving this in class 2. And
Hell yeah.
yeah, DNF, or DN, yeah, DNF, 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 and maybe a DNS. So
No,
yeah, yeah. I've learned my lesson. I've learned my
solid,
lesson.
solid. Yeah, we don't have a lot of soccer rules or events like that. We're actually trying to come together as a community to have a lot more of those events and stuff. And so hopefully I can kind of touch your brain. You know what I mean? To do a little bit of back and forth with you on kind of the rules and regulations that you see fit and different stuff like
For
that.
sure.
Moving on with it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we're throwing a November Guam scale adventure event
Ah,
here on Guam. So I'm trying to coordinate a bunch of stuff, building a bunch of scale houses and all that good stuff. So
oh, that sounds
um,
fun.
yeah,
I
that's
think
pretty good.
the single biggest piece of advice I could give you was just for a comp in a place where you're trying to, excuse me, start something like that.
Mhm.
I would just eliminate skill points altogether. Just
Okay.
have a course laid out, and don't put skill points into the mix, because it makes it so much more complicated to judge. People don't know all the rules around that. It's just like, run what you brung and have a good time. That
Oh yeah.
that should be the goal anyway.
Okay.
I go to these comps never with the intention of winning anything, because I am incapable of driving that well. Josh
Yeah.
yells at me too much. I get all flustered. It's not it's not worth it. I go to enjoy the community, the camaraderie, and to watch other people compete and see how good they are. That's my vibe.
Solid. How was Proline by the Fire? Go ahead, give us the
I didn't
review
go
on.
this year. I
Oh, I
didn't
thought you
go.
went this year. Oh, that was that
No,
last
I went last year. I went the
last
year
year.
before
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but I couldn't go this year because we were in Ireland. So
Okay. Oh
I
yeah, yeah.
missed
So
out on this one, but it did look like a good time.
yeah. How do the events go at Proline by? Is it madness? Is it, what I mean? Is it expensive
It's
to enter? Is it?
organized chaos. It's
Mhm.
not super expensive. I think it's like because it's only a. It used to be just a like a 2 day 1 night event.
Okay.
I think they've extended it now, so I think it goes like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
I can't give you specifics on what it costs, but I
Yeah.
can say that there is a little bit of something for everybody at that event. There's good rock crawling. There's some guys who set up a rally course. There is a bunch of bashing areas and jumps and stuff. And then Proline hosts a bunch of like mini comps where they'll do like a tug of war or sort of like a sumo style thing where you
Art
gotta
Sumo. Yeah.
press your push your truck off the sides.
Yeah.
They had like last year when it was the medieval theme, they had jousting. So
Yeah.
they attached a joust stick to an element bushido, and you had to drive and collect rings around a course with the stick. It's
Stop.
so much fun, like all kinds of little things like that. And then there's a great vendors row, so you get to see all the new products and new things that are coming out. There is a fire apparently.
Yeah.
I've only seen the bonfire once. Um, what else do they do? They do an ultra run too. So
Okay.
um, that's like I think it's a 5K that you run with your truck
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and those are a blast. I love doing those. I used to do those when I went to Axial Fest. I went like 4 years, 5 years in a row. The first year I filmed the event for them, which was so much work. I would not recommend doing that. And then the next few years, I just went sort of like as a like support staff or
Sure.
helper, and I always ran the ultras. Anytime they were running them and I was there, I was running it, and those are an absolute blast. It's good exercise to run with an RC car. Let me tell you.
It's a lot more of a mental and physical exercise.
Yeah, yeah. There's got to be some mental fortitude for that.
Yes. I
On
didn't
that,
know, based off of your four dice video, that four dice was a trail it was like a path or some sort of
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's a real on. Uh, oh,
Oh,
what's
yeah,
going on here?
yeah. I still hear you. You still hear me?
Is
Hello.
that on my side? Hang on a
Uh,
second here.
no worries. No worries.
Sounds like I've got. Is that for me?
I'm not too sure. I wouldn't know how to pinpoint it, but yeah.
Hang on. I may have to pop out. I'll pop back in, but it sounds
Shoot,
like I
shoot,
got a Tomley video going in the background. One sec. I'll be right back.
shoot. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. On 25 of us, you guys are the man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. There we go. He's back on. Yeah,
Ground that I was watching.
solid.
Here I am. What were we talking about?
Pro line by the fire, running the 5K.
Right.
Yeah,
20K.
mental and physical.
It's always a mental game.
Yeah,
Um, but the thing that surprised me the most about running that 20K with the Fordice was that I only changed batteries twice. I was like,
yeah,
I got to bring like 6 batteries. I'm going to need so many batteries. But I only changed batteries twice, and I probably could have gotten away with like a battery and a half.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, that was an amazing adventure, and I really want to do it more with other brands to see if they'll stand up to the abuse. And I mean, that Fordyce by the end, the servo was a bit hot, and the motor made some noise. But other than that, I mean, that
yeah,
truck was rock solid. I don't think you could say that about everybody, like every brand.
yeah.
Like I think there will be failures with other ones. So we'll see. We'll see. Got to train for
So,
those though. It's a lot of training.
thank you, Rick, Boss Man Rick, One Love for Chronic Spirit. Thanks for all the support. Boss Rick, don't forget to thank Matt. He's the hero here, not me. I'm just here
Not
for
all
the.
heroes wear capes, Rick.
uh, moving on to still the favorite segments. We're looking at your favorite build. The house is burning. Man, it's on fire, and you got one
Well,
to run out with.
the obvious answer is the Ripper, but I
Yeah.
don't know. That's all aluminum, so I think it would probably be okay in a fire. Um, man, you know what? I always go back to this one. It's this big stupid steam powered one. Have you ever seen this before?
Holy shit! Whoa,
So
that's ridiculous.
this is this is a real truck in real life. There's
Oh,
this
no
guy
kidding.
Kenny Hawk makes
Okay.
these weird Jeep builds, and he had a show on the History Channel, and this was a truck that he built out of a JK. He made it a JK 6x6, and he added a steam engine as the power plant. So
Wow.
on the back of the truck, just like you see here, it's a boiler. This is like a full-on uh, steam boiler. And then in the front, he converted the engine to an actual. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a real steam engine, and the whole truck is powered by steam.
No shit.
And so is this one. This one's
Whoa.
also powered by steam. So it's not. Hang on here. I gotta get this red cat off the bench because these just came in. But let me
Nice.
just take the top of this off so you can see what's going on under here. Um, but I built this for Axial Fest because it started as, like the New Bright JKs. It
Yeah.
started as one of those,
Yeah.
but this is all custom styrene work. As you can see there, that's like heat resistant foam back tape.
Tape. I was
So
gonna say yeah. Uh-huh.
and then there's a full interior inside there as well. Very, very similar to the real thing. The front grille is 3D printed by James Knight. All these rivets were actually put in by hand. So there's like 300 and something rivets on there.
Holy smoke!
And
Damn.
then the cool part, I mean, the body's pretty cool, but the chassis to me is what's really cool. So it is a functioning steam engine. So there's a full boiler there. It runs on a butane propane mix. And then the steam comes out of that boiler and goes all the way to this unit in the middle here. It's a double piston system. And then there's a flywheel. You can sort of see under there.
Yeah.
And that flywheel turns a really long drive shaft up to a front mounted axial transmission. You can see that's sitting right there. And then that powers all six wheels through a transfer case in the middle.
Damn.
And all the servos are actuated by, or all the mechanisms on the steam engine are actuated by servos. So I run a 3S pack with a BEC that powers the three servos. So there's steering. There is one for direction and throttle, so you can actually go in reverse with this steam engine. It'll allow for that. And then there's another one for the amount of steam that you want to release. So you can change the pressure basically to go a little bit faster or slower depending on where you're at. You need to put distilled water in there.
I was gonna say,
Um,
what kind of gas is it, or is it water,
yeah,
distilled water? Yeah.
yeah, water vapor, and then it's a true boiler, and it runs on propane butane mix and gets very hot and very steamy,
Very
and
cool.
it's not very loud, but it is pretty greasy. Like there's a lot of oil to keep everything lubricated, and then the steam actually there's two pipes behind the front tires there, one on either side. You
Yeah.
can sort of
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
That's where the steam comes out. So it like puffs and puffs and puffs, and it moves. It's not super fast, but it moves. And there is a whistle there too. That's a
That's
functioning whistle.
fucking sick, dude.
So that I don't really like to talk about how much this build cost because uh, it's it's such a one-off sort of thing. But
Hell
I
yeah.
will say that you can buy these steam engines, um, but they're in about the $1,500 to $2,000 range just for the steam unit alone. Never mind all the custom work and everything else. So this is sort of like one of those Halo builds. I was like, you know what? I really want to build that, so I'm going to, and I don't really care what it costs. But it's an old SCX 10, So it has the older style, gigantic
Yeah.
curries under there.
Diffs.
So
Yeah.
yeah, functioning 6x6 powered by steam.
That is sick, dude. That's amazing.
So I
Great.
guess that's
Great
what I would
work.
probably take with me.
The Ripper. Can you show off the Ripper just to
I
get it on
can, sure.
camera? It's
Yes.
beautiful.
This one was number 16. I'm not sure how many they did in the end, but this one's mine.
Yeah.
And what have I done to it? Not much, really. The interior got a really nice interior by a man named Scale Built. He's from the UK, and this was a
Okay.
resin printed interior. So there's a functioning screen in
I
there
was gonna say,
that
same.
has an odometer, like a functioning odometer, so you can see how fast your RPMs are. But other than that, I haven't really done anything to it. I put fresh curries under it last year, and I still haven't driven it, which is embarrassing. I'm so embarrassed that I haven't driven this. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's a ripper.
Oh yeah.
It's got a few
Solid.
dents on it because Josh told me that I had to drive it. I wasn't allowed to just shelf it. So it's been driven. It's been to Axial Fest 2 times. And it's definitely one of my favorites of all time. I just kind of wish that they would do a Ripper 2
I,
because this
I, I
it's
thought they. I thought there's
they,
word that there is going to be a
yeah,
version two, right? Or
they keep talking about it. Jim talks about it a lot, but
uh-huh.
I don't think there's anything actually that exists. I think it's all up here or on
Got it.
paper.
Got it. Got
But
it.
I would love for them to do one because it would be nice to have an updated chassis and a forward mounted transmission. You know, all the Vanquish things that they're doing now would be
Yeah.
great to see on a modern platform.
You would still keep it at the same price point ish that it was at to keep it as exclusive and
I don't
luster as
think
it was. Or?
so. They've got to. I mean, they had no trouble selling them,
Yeah.
but the aftermarket has gone a bit nuts. Like I don't think they're worth what people are paying for them. If I'm honest, you can get a much better performing truck for a lot less now.
I think
Um,
the
it's
highest
probably
price
just because it's such a one of those kind of halo builds, right? Like there's not a
unicorn.
lot out there. Like
Yeah.
120 of them worldwide, so that's not
Yeah.
many.
And the last one I saw was $7,900. Is I
Hmm,
think what I saw it posted for $7,900
I gotta sell
for
my
the
Ripper.
Ripper. Yeah.
Sell it. I mean, it's just sitting there. No, I can't. I would never sell it. That's Let me show you another project I'm working on.
Solid, solid.
Now, I don't know if you probably don't have any of these on the island, but this was a pretty popular choice for a military vehicle. Um, CUCV,
Yeah.
old GM. This is the Canadian version though, because
Okay.
CUCVs in the US didn't have round headlights; they were only the square headlights.
Where? Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But this is also a long bed, which I don't think they did many of. But yeah,
Sure.
it's this started as an RC four-wheel drive Blazer body, believe it or not. Um, a lot of cutting later and a full 3D printed bed, and you got to look really carefully at it to know that it's 3D printed. It's pretty clean. I did a lot of sanding on it to get it to that point. But yeah, I just finished airbrushing this one last night, actually. So on to the next few steps to get it done. And then this is on a GCM C-Max chassis, which you're probably not familiar with, but it gives you lots of room for a full engine bay, which
Yes.
is still a work in progress, obviously. But yeah, there's lots to do on this full interior as well, bench seat, the works.
Beautiful. I'm about to dive into my first 3D printed adventure
Oh,
in regards to sanding down and doing all that good stuff. It's a 90 Hilux or pickup, right? Whichever one is with the area. But
yep,
yeah, the bed kind of doesn't match Guam's bed, but it does probably match the international kind of feel to it
yeah,
for it. So yeah, any tips and tricks on sanding down, types of grid, types of glue to hold the pieces together?
yeah.
Uh,
You can use regular CA to hold it together, just
okay,
regular everyday super glue.
Okay.
For sanding, you're gonna have to do it all by hand. Did you
Okay.
print? Is it PLA that you printed it in?
I was gifted it,
Okay.
but I do want to say that it was PLA that it was printed. Yes.
Okay. Since it's PLA, you have to sand by hand.
Oh shit. Okay.
If you sand with a power sander, you'll melt it.
Okay.
So sand by hand. Start with 220.
Okay.
Uh, get down to like 400.
Okay.
Then hit it with some primer to see where your high and low spots are.
Got it.
Then go back in 400 again, 600, 800, 1,000.
Yeah.
If you want to look good,
Hell yeah. I want to
1,000,
see.
1,500. And then I would do a nice thin coat of filler primer and then give it another quick sand and then primer and then you're done.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
3 or 4 days worth of prep work.
Worth of work that I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to do for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I'm looking at putting it on a lowrider, not too sure, which is
Fun.
very
Yeah.
Guam of us and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Oh, my chair is
Oh,
squeaking again.
all good, all good. No worries.
Let me show you something else that I think you'll like this. This will probably get you going, but here's a lowrider for you. It's a Land Cruiser 200 series or 100 series. I can't remember
Okay,
which one,
okay,
but that's on the Red Cat chassis. This is a styrene but vacuum formed styrene, so it's very lightweight, which is perfect for this build. That came from Eastern Europe like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago now. And then this is the Red Cat chassis, but I lengthened it. You can see there's a 3D printed element in there just to give it the right wheelbase. People were really mad when I put this body on it, but I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I've seen it, so I'm gonna make it.
I got kind of the Guam typical one that we're running with.
Hey,
This is an '87.
yes.
It's on an MST chassis, but I did the kind of the same trick. I don't have a
Ah,
3D printer, but I did the aluminum extended and kind of make it work thing. You know what I mean? So
whatever works, man.
hell
Nobody
yeah,
sees that side anyway.
hell yeah, hell yeah. I agree. Yeah, that's awesome, and that's gonna be good. Can you explain to me the material that 100 series or 200 series is? We don't have
Yeah,
styrene
sure.
here on Guam. That you know what I mean. We don't vacuum, and I get so floored by the time you
So
say
this is like a Hilux body. You've seen this a billion times, right?
yes, yes.
This is styrene. It's ABS.
Oh shit. Okay, okay,
This is also ABS. It's just
okay,
black tinted. And instead of molding it by injection molding it like you would with one of these, they used the same process you would use for a Lexan body. So
okay,
they started with probably 040 thickness on styrene,
okay.
and then they just vacuum formed it, heat it up, get it all melty, and then just plop it over the buck and hit the vacuum, and then you
Okay.
get the same kind of deal. The difference between like this and a Lexan body is that you can use styrene glue or like the bonding agent MEK to
Okay.
put things on here to glue it together. Same thing that you would use when you're doing one of these.
Yeah.
Like the back half of this was printed in ABS, the same material that this would be vacuum or injection molded out of. So you can use styrene glue to bond these two things together instead of like
Okay.
CA or epoxy or whatever. You can use styrene glue, so it's a much stronger chemical bond. This is the way to go.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you.
So it's like
Thank
this is
you.
like a hard body, but not really.
I was gonna say it's when you're shaking it and stuff. You know what I mean? It's a lot more loose. It's like a Lexan body.
Exactly. It's just really
Yeah.
thin styrene.
Yeah, that's sick. That is crazy. Awesome.
Yeah.
I hope we can get some resources for that. Hopefully Bert's on still watching and he could kind of start working on some styrene shit because the master builders here on Guam like Mr. D, JD, they use styrene
Yeah.
and it's amazing. JD, one of the bigger guys here on Guam, he did a lowrider truck with a styrene bed cover and all this other good stuff, and it's a very good material to have. I've seen it on Amazon. I don't know where else you can pick it up, but I've seen it on Amazon. I just don't know how to glue it together or shape it or cut it
Right.
or any of that
The
stuff.
glue
So
that I use, um, it comes in a million different brand names. This one's just called Same Stuff because it's
Solid.
the same stuff. It's just in a different bottle. But
Nice.
what else could you know? What else it looks like? Where do I keep it now? I kept it away from all the flammable sources because I was like, I don't want to burn the house down.
Yeah.
Where did I put that? Shoot. Oh, here it is. Everything's within like an arm's reach.
Yeah.
MEK, methyl
MK.
ethyl ketone.
Okay.
It's poison. It's really bad for you. But it's like a degreaser or a paint stripper.
Yeah.
But it also bonds styrene together really well. So that's what I use.
Okay. And you're just paintbrushing, like you're dipping in the bucket and paintbrushing on. You got a mixture going
Yeah.
on.
If people are really keen to learn about this, you can go to the web, or
Yeah.
you can go to the YouTube channel, and I've
Yeah.
got a whole how to build with styrene
Yeah.
video on there that gives you all the basics of how it works. But basically, what it does is anytime you're putting two pieces together, uh, and then it creates this concept called capillary fill. So it's
Okay.
basically you put a little drop at the edge and it fills in the whole gap.
Okay.
As long as those two pieces have some sort of physical connection, the glue will bond all the way through. Capillary action, that's what it's called. So you don't need a ton. You don't brush it on.
Okay.
You basically you can brush it on. Like this is a little brush bottle, but I just put a dab on the edge and it fills the whole gap.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. It's a
Sick.
very great way to build it, and it's super strong. Like it's basically chemically bonding the two pieces back together. And that's
It
why
creates it
it's
as one. Yeah. Basically
yeah,
what it does.
exactly. Yeah.
Nice. The hardest body that you dealt with for styrene that you've personally created. The
The
hardest.
definitely the steam build for sure, because that to get that curvature on
Mhm.
the steam uh, boiler portion of it, I fought with that for days because it wants to do this, right? It just wants to lay flat again. So I experimented with a bunch of different techniques. I was like, well, what if I heat it up first and then it would get all like wobbly and kind of warped and wouldn't work. So I bought a piece of pipe, PVC pipe that was the right diameter that I needed. And then I think I taped the styrene around that pipe
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then I heated it up.
No
But
shit.
I
And
mean, that stupid thing took me a year to build. I've got a lot of stupid builds like that are like, this took so long to
yeah.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing though. So it's worth it, man. It's definitely
In the
worth it.
end, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't go anywhere or do anything. It just sits on the bench now. But
I guess there's some questions, at least for me, trying my best to become a little bit more versed in the YouTube and Instagram world and stuff.
for
Tips and
sure,
tricks you have for me on kind of like how did you know you broke it big, or you know you broke it big, and how do you
ah,
encourage somebody to kind of do something like that or get
sure,
lucky or
okay.
whatever.
And then I'm gonna probably have to get going here in about
Okay, no worries, no worries,
10 minutes or so, if that's
no worries, no
okay.
worries. Okay,
Yeah.
no worries.
Um, how to? Well, I didn't go into it with the goal of being anything more than just putting up the videos.
Okay.
I started very small and very humble and just sort of like I just want to share some running videos of the trucks I've built with the people on the forum. That's literally how it started.
Yeah,
And I started to realize, that I'm getting some views on these things, like 300 views. I'm like, people are actually watching these. That's
yeah,
really cool. And I just kind of kept at it. I didn't really have a goal in mind. I didn't have, like, I didn't say, I want to get to 5,000 subscribers in 2 years or whatever. I just kind of kept going at it. And um, it was all sort of really organic. It wasn't out of a place or a desire to make money or to treat it as a full-time job. Like there are some people out there who I'm sure make a ton of money doing this,
yeah,
and it is their full-time gig.
yeah,
They've got like I've got affiliate links, and those generate a bit of income on the side, but I always wanted to make sure I was authentic to myself. So for me, I just kind of kept doing what I've always been doing, which is running videos, reviews, tips and tricks, how to's, and the audience just kind of showed up.
Hell
You know,
yeah.
I guess I think the most important thing is be authentic to who you are. And if your enthusiasm for the hobby is what people are seeing, I think they will continue to watch and they will continue to be inspired. Um, it is really so much more for me about moving the hobby forward and building connections and getting to know people than it is ever going to be about the money. Like I am well paid at my job. So I don't have any desire to leave that. You know?
I agree.
Like
I agree.
this is a lot, this whole thing, this box is really cool and it's fun to
Yeah.
be in here, but at the same time, this is not a guarantee. You know, like I could say something really dumb and I could lose all of my audience, or I could just decide one day I don't want to do it and it
Yeah.
doesn't affect anything else in my life. So I still treat this portion very much like an extension of the hobby. It's something that I love to do and it's something that I love to share with people, but at the end of the day, I do not ever want this to be my full-time job. I want it to always be a hobby because I will
Got
hate
it.
it if it's a job.
I agree. I agree. And man, I was supposed to have. Thank you very much for that. I was supposed to have some guys jump on and stuff. I don't want to hold up your time and stuff. Maybe if we have another chance in life again to do this again, let me send the invite so that those guys can start the show and they can do the whole show and tell and I love you and all this other good stuff. But
I would be happy to come back.
man, thank you very much, Mr. Man. I really appreciate it. Thanks for
I
giving Guam.
appreciate you. I
Thank
appreciate you. This has been it's been great to talk to you and get to know a little bit about you and your group.
thank you.
And I hope one day that our paths will cross
Yeah.
because I think it would be amazing to go to
Hell
Guam and
yeah.
travel over
Hell
there
yeah.
and see what you
Hell
guys
yeah.
are doing.
Well, I'm trying to go pro line by the fire. So next year, I got my mindset. I got the whole thing. So I mean,
All
we'll
right.
keep working at this relationship and stuff, and we'll see where we
Save
go
your
from there.
pennies. I'll be there.
Hell yeah, my dog. Yeah, solid. Okay, sorry guys, I can't let you go on now. Mr. Matt has to do a little bit of bouncing, so hopefully we'll get on the next one. You guys will join at
Absolutely.
the beginning of it. Ask all the questions you want. But
Yeah,
yeah,
let's
thank you.
actually, you know what? Once I settle again here, let's try to
Okay.
schedule one in another couple weeks. Get your
Sure.
guys on and we'll do a show and tell.
Hell yeah, my dog. Thank you very much,
All
Mr.
right.
Matt. I really appreciate it. You're the man.
Absolutely. Thank you
Oh
very
yeah.
much for having me on and keep on trucking.
Hell yeah, my dog. Thank you. Peace.
Have a great evening, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Oh, yeah. Shoots.